Hello again. I found this very bizarre story in the Wirral Globe, dated the 3rd of January 2018. The headline reads, "The Case of Wirral's Werewolves," by Tom Sleman. So without further ado, let's get to the story, and I quote. In 2002 at BBC Radio Merseyside, I interviewed a former security guard who worked at a certain hospital in Wirral, and he told a chilling story that was later backed up by a porter, a policeman, and several nurses. The guard, Craig, not his real name, said that a heavily pregnant New Age traveler, aged about 25, was brought into the Wirral hospital after going into labor. She seemed delirious, and wanted to have her baby in a teepee, but an older man, possibly the woman's partner, brought her to the hospital, then quickly left. It was a warm summer night and a full moon was out, and the woman belonged to a community of hippies who had camped down in bender tents and yurts on a tract of land close to the hospital. As the woman went into the throes of labor, the midwife and nurses attending to her saw the patient undergo a startling and very frightening transformation. The grimacing face of the young woman turned slowly into the face of some animal. The tip of her nose darkened, the skin became hairy and turned a strange grayish-pink color, and long pointed teeth protruded from the mouth. The midwife and nurses backed away from the bed in terror as the woman began to make snarling noises, and a security guard, Craig, was called. When Craig reached the ward, he saw the nurses run past him into the corridor, and then he saw a figure in hospital clothes which looked humanoid, only the face was that of an animal with a snout. This entity ran to the plate glass second-floor window and smashed it with its fists, before jumping through the frame into the garden. Craig reached the smashed window within seconds and caught a fleeting glimpse of the woman running off into the moonlit nightscape. Fearing the adverse publicity from this unearthly occurrence, the hospital managers advised the staff to say nothing about the incident, but some told their families and partners, and the story got out, but most who heard it classed the account as some urban legend. I mentioned the incident on a radio station and was besieged with calls from people, including the security guard Craig, nurses, a porter, and even a policeman who told me about a sighting of the apparently metamorphosed woman at a park near to the hospital. Inquiries were made at the travelers' encampment, but the police met a wall of silence. No one would admit to even knowing who the pregnant woman was. Days later the travelers were moved on. The whole affair continues to tantalize me. Was that pregnant lady a shape-shifting werewolf? And furthermore, what became of her and her child? I think it will be a long time before we know the answers." End quote. Interestingly, in the comments below, I found the following reply from Stuart 8, on the 23rd of January 2018. He says, and I quote, "Love these stories. I remember my nan telling me about the werewolf in the hospital thing a few years ago. Maybe the woman was some genetic throwback." End quote. So someone else has heard of this story, which is very interesting. The mind boggles, to be honest. Surely this story must be just an urban legend for that particular part of the UK, who knows, but if you live there, and have heard the same story, or can add a similar story of your own, then feel free to leave a comment below, or email us at the usual address, which is anomalyresearchersuk@protonmail.com. Until the next time. Bye for now.